Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. It is just gone 13 after 9 o'clock, and we're now joined by my colleague, Inayet Wadee. He is also presenter here on News and Views on a Thursday and a Friday morning. And of course, he's with you for a full 2 hour session on a Wednesday night, Talk with Inayet Wadee, which really and truly are powerful and dynamic discussions with specialists from their various fields. Today, we're going to talk to him about another 2 issues which are very close to his heart. The first one being our esteemed visitor, and that, of course, is Abeer Zayyad. She is going to be in Polokwane in a short while. And also, something that I know is deep in his heart is the incarceration of Dr. Afia Siddiqui. We will be, inshallah, talking to Dr. Afia Siddiqui's sister, Dr. Fawzia Siddiqui. So I want Inayet to unpack that for me a little bit as well, because this is something he talks about on an ongoing basis, and he is truly passionate about these issues. Inayet Wadee, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you, Julie, and assalamu alaikum to all the listeners.
Shukran very much for making yourself available to talk with me at such short notice. Let's start talking about Fawzia Siddiqui getting a 5-year US visa to meet with her sister, Dr. Afia. How significant do you believe this is?
So, Julie, I must say that this is extremely significant considering that Afia Siddiqui has been cut off from her family since the time she was abducted in Pakistan, taken through to Bagram in Afghanistan, and thereafter incarcerated in the United States of America. And the only contact she had, physical contact initially, was with her brother, Muhammad Siddiqui, who lives in the United States of America. And the rest of the family has basically been cut off. Afia Siddiqui's children, you will recall, were very, very young at this point in time. They've now grown, and her daughter Miriam is now a young lady. The son is a young man. The baby, we still don't know what had happened. And this is now going to be the first time that she is going to be having contact with her sister, who for years and years has been at the forefront of the campaign to free her sister. So this is extremely significant. I had the opportunity of talking to the newly appointed lawyer on behalf of the family, and he went across to Pakistan, and he was, in fact, he was in quite high spirits about the fact that this visa has now been granted to her. So this is very, very significant, considering also that the family has been reliant on hearsay. They have been reliant on people from the embassy of the Pakistani embassy in the United States of America to provide them with information, to provide them with news regarding the sister, her health condition, her mental condition. So all of that put together makes it an extremely significant visit, where hopefully Dr. Fawzia Siddiqui will be able to go firsthand and go and see her visit her sister in prison.
You said to me a minute ago that you had the privilege of talking with Dr. Afia Siddiqui's lawyer. That just indicates to me how deeply vested you are in this situation. Take us back to the early years of Salaamedia, possibly even earlier than that, when you became involved as a humanitarian regarding the issue of Dr. Afia Siddiqui. And I must also admit, had it not been for you and for the late Ibrahim Gangat and for Salaamedia, I definitely would not have been aware of the incarceration of Dr. Afia Siddiqui.
Well, again, this goes long before Salaamedia as well. This goes to the time
To
when you were all
CII.
at CII, when
Absolutely.
the was at CII and yourself as well. And
Mm.
this is where Ibrahim Gangat had actually brought the whole case of Dr. Afia Siddiqui out in the open. And him and I liaised a lot. And when there were times when he used to do the drive time show like you are doing, and he couldn't do any justice to detailed discussion and going into the details surrounding her case. And this is where he referred this entire case to me. And this is where I got involved. And we then, continuously highlighted the plight of Afia Siddiqui. And it was at the time when Yvonne Ridley had done a thorough investigation. And her case came out in the open. And she was then termed as the Grey Lady of Bagram. And this is when we got in touch with people like Yvonne Ridley, Moazim Beg, who was in Guantanamo Bay. He then got released. He highlighted Afia's plight, and this is where we realized that this is something huge. This is something massive that needs to be talked about, but also at the same time, it needs to be exposed. And this is when we then embarked on the first tour of Dr. Fawzia Siddiqui to South Africa. And I must say, it was huge, it was massive. There was interest right across the entire country. And until today, Julie, I must say that I still get a lot of people calling me, wanting to know what is the story, what is the latest developments. And so we have been following the story ever since. We've spoken to many prominent people over the years. We've got Maurice Salakhan in the United States of America, but also we had Ramsey Clark, who was the former Attorney General in the United States of America. He then visited Pakistan. I had the opportunity of talking to him. There was Mike Gravel, who stood against Barack Obama as a presidential candidate in the United States of America. He then took up this whole issue. So there's been a huge interest. Many high-profile people right across the United States of America and also in other parts around the world have now been highlighting the plight of Dr. Afia Siddiqui. And I think all of this issue of the visa is a culmination of effort that people have been putting right throughout the years and all the pressures. So hopefully this time around, and my hope is, firstly, Fawzia gets to meet her sister, but also more importantly, is to secure her release, which she's been working tirelessly, really. And, I take off my hat for Dr. Fawzia Siddiqui. Her mother, she lost her mother in the process. Her mother has also seen her daughter. Her children have also seen their mother. So all of this, at the end of the day, we just make dua when we pray that this comes to an end, it comes to fruition, and more importantly, a release, Julie.
So tell me, Inayet, the backstory of the incarceration of Afia Siddiqui. What has she been accused of in Pakistan? Why then did she land up in Afghanistan and then finally in the United States and being incarcerated in the United States? And they're supposed to be a democracy. You would imagine that there are people that have been locked away for more heinous crimes. Why is it that there's been this long, hard struggle to get Dr. Afia Siddiqui released? Do you believe that there are powers at play in Pakistan, strong political figures that are in the pockets of top American politicians, and they are colluding with each other not to get to block Afia Siddiqui's release?
Really, the collusion between the Pakistani authorities and the United States is open, it is clear. She was abducted by Pakistani forces as she was heading to the airport. She was going to Islamabad with her children. So she was already abducted en route to the airport and then taken to Bagram. Now, the reason why Dr. Afia Siddiqui was taken as well is, when one looks at her from an academic perspective, she is one of the most brilliant women at this point in time in Pakistan.
A scientist, am I right? She's a scientist.
She's a cognitive scientist, basically, but she's written an entire education system in Pakistan from the age of 6, right till the child finishes schooling. And wow. She would have made a huge difference, a massive difference in Pakistan society to conscientize Pakistan people. And I think her intelligence was seen as a threat, for starters. And that was one of the reasons why they had basically abducted her, and the government was threatened by Dr. Afia Siddiqui when you look at the circumstances as well surrounding her arrest and also her subsequent sentencing to over 80 years, the charges were so frivolous. I mean, yeah, you've got a small woman, tiny in stature. And when you look at her pictures, she's not a big woman. You've got 8 or 10 burly American soldiers fully armed in a room. And what did they say? She grabbed one of the rifles. Those rifles, I think she wouldn't be able to even carry them. Those are so heavy. And she then attempted to shoot an American soldier. And that was the excuse that was basically used to charge her. And then she was taken away secretly to the United States of America. Where, the sham court proceedings had taken place, and that led to a sentencing to 86 years in prison, Julie.
How many years of imprisonment has she served thus far? And what are the chances of her being released on humanitarian grounds, for that matter?
Well, Julie, if my memory serves me right, we're going back to close on to 20 years already.
I thought so.
We're 20 years already, and yeah. So I mean, this is this is where she is at this point in time, because I mean, her children were still young. Her daughter was 4 years old at that point in time.
Sure.
I mean, this child is now 24 years old. The son is 20 years old as well, and she hasn't seen them ever since. She hasn't had the opportunity to see her children grow. And for a woman like Dr. Polja Siddiqui to remain sane, I would say, to remain steadfast, to remain strong. You know, can you imagine how mentally draining this is for a sister, how mentally draining it has been for a mother? And when you spoke about the Pakistani authorities, prime ministers have come and gone, and each one of them referred to her as the daughter of the nation. And yet, none of them have been able to do anything. So there's definitely a lot more at play. There's a lot that this Pakistani government, Musharraf has come and gone. I mean, he's dead now. And he was one that sold Pakistani people to the Americans. He was one that sold them, and he's mentioned it openly in his book. And it was during his time when Dr. Abeer Zayyad was abducted. Yvonne Ridley had meetings with Imran Khan, who was a prime minister at some point in time. Imran Khan had committed to do something. Nothing had happened. Now we've got a new government, this coalition government. Dr. Polja Siddiqui has met up with the new prime minister as well of Pakistan. But at this point in time, I cannot believe that any of them have had the guts, or they're hiding behind something. They're hiding behind something that is very, very sinister. And I'm sure Dr. Abeer Zayyad knows all about it. And this is the reason why, they have not taken her plight serious enough. And also at the same time, there's been opportunities to secure her release. There was an American spy, Raymond Davis, who was caught in Pakistan. That presented a perfect opportunity to do a prisoner swap. That option wasn't even taken up. So, and what the Pakistani government did, they let Raymond Davis go free, and today he's a free man walking in America.
If memory serves me correctly, I seem to think that I read somewhere or heard something about Dr. Abeer Zayyad having done some research into nuclear science. Do you think that there's any truth in that? And do you think that might be one of the reasons why she's been, locked away and forgotten about by the Pakistani and American people?
Well, definitely not. When you look at Dr. Abeer Zayyad, her qualifications is cognitive sciences. This has got absolutely nothing to do with nuclear sciences. Her focus was on education. I mean, this woman was totally focused on education. I spoke, in fact, one of her closest friends, who had been in South Africa, who has been living for a number of years in South Africa, was in college with her, was in university with her, and her passion was education. And her education system even went to an extent where if a child started the curriculum, by the time the child had left school, every child, boy or girl, would have been a Hafiz al-Quran. And this is exactly what she had actually come up with. So this has got nothing to do with nuclear science or anything else, Julie.
Okay, let's move on then. Inshallah, we'll be talking with her sister, Dr. Fawzia Siddiqui, in a short while, round about 9:35. The other amazing human being that we are going to be highlighting this morning on the show, as she makes her way to Polokwane, no doubt she's probably arrived there already, is our dear sister, our esteemed guest, dear sister Abeer Zayyad, a Palestinian activist and an archaeologist by profession as well. What can you tell us about her and her current tour to South Africa?
Well, Julie, you had the opportunity, and I had the opportunity of meeting her on
Absolutely.
the evening when we welcomed her. And this is one amazing woman, apart from just being an archaeologist or an expert on Masjid al-Aqsa, an amazing human being in more ways than one. And I was witness to this on a Sunday afternoon where we met an activist who has been at the forefront of the Palestinian struggle. And we sat down for close on to 2 hours, just sitting and talking. And I just listened. In fact, this time around, I didn't contribute much. And while the two of them were having a discussion, and her depth of knowledge with regard to Masjid al-Aqsa, the archaeological side, but also at the same time, her reading into what is currently taking place in Palestine, and also looking at the Palestinian struggle in itself, whether it comes from Hamas, whether it comes from the Palestinian Authority, the West Bank, but more importantly, how this has impacted on her. She is a refugee, and how it impacts on the people of Jerusalem. And to a large extent, the people of Jerusalem have been forgotten. And this is a message that is coming very, very strongly from Sister Abeer. Yesterday, even when she was at Kurtuba, young children, I was actually amazed at the level of questioning that came from young children regarding Palestine, Masjid al-Aqsa. And she's got this demeanor about her, she's got this mannerism about her, where she can basically reach out to anybody and everybody. We had a meeting with the ulama at the Jamiat al-Ulama yesterday with people like Maulana Bam and a number of other ulama. We had the ladies from the Jamiat as well. They were there, and really it was a fascinating discussion, and many questions that had come through from the ulama, the latest developments regarding the struggle, talking about the people of Palestine, their concerns that were raised. And she articulated all of this just so well, even from a political level, the level of support that is coming through from the likes of Saudi Arabia. And she spoke about the Emiratis. She spoke about all of these things. And this is the reason why we have her here in South Africa. And also, when I look at the program, and I mentioned this to people like Fonty, that I actually like this program because her tour this time around has got something for each and every one. She's meeting with young children. She's meeting with ulama bodies. She's meeting with activists. She's meeting with ladies groups, and exposing her even to other activists, both Muslim and non-Muslim. And she is just so well placed to articulate the development in Jerusalem, and particularly with regard to Masjid al-Aqsa. And this is the reason why, her tour is just so fascinating, but also at the same time, highly informative and inspiring people to visit Masjid al-Aqsa more often and to support them in more ways than one. So this morning, alhamdulillah, yes, as you mentioned, making their way to Polokwane. I know they've got a program at the Nirvana Learning Academy at 11 o'clock. This is a program where even ladies are also welcome. Then there is a whole public discourse that will be taking place at the Northern Muslim School at 12 o'clock in Polokwane this afternoon. And I know it's a tight schedule because from Polokwane, he's going to be back to Pretoria tomorrow, where she's going to be talking with another school address. She's got ladies program. We've got the one in Lenasia tomorrow evening, together with the likes of the Palestinian Solidarity Alliance, the Palestine Information Network. So, that's going to be the Gauteng side of the tour. Then we're looking at Pietermaritzburg, Durban, Cape Town, Port Elizabeth. So we will do as much as we can to give our maximum exposure, inshallah, actually.
I mean, and in the process, educate ourselves about the situation firsthand in Palestine, in Jerusalem, the threat to Al Aqsa, and a whole host more. So, really, all I can say is that hats off to Salaamedia for bringing her over to South Africa. I met her on Saturday evening as well. It's a pity that, we couldn't get to talk much because she had just landed. She was tired and we needed to take that into account. But I'm hoping to catch her at one of her talks when she gets back to Johannesburg. I hope I do have that opportunity, inshallah. But Inayet Wadee, it is always a pleasure talking with you. You have such deep knowledge about all of these situations. I guess that's why you host the type of shows you do, isn't it? Alhamdulillah. Lovely.
Actually, I always make one dua actually that Allah grant us the sincerity and
Ameen.
acceptance for what we do. At the end of the day, it is about doing what is right. It is about speaking out against injustice in any form, in any manner, in any kind. And this is what we need to do: is we need to be on the right side. We need to be on the side of justice. Whether we're talking about Dr. Afia Siddiqui, whether we're talking about Palestine, Kashmir, China, Xinjiang, Rohingya, wherever it is, injustices are perpetrated right across the entire world. And this is our responsibility. This is our duty as Muslims. And Alhamdulillah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted me that voice, I thank Allah for that.
Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all your efforts and the efforts of everyone here at Salam Media, because that is what we're all about. Humanitarian journalism. May Allah accept our efforts, and always, always a pleasure talking with you. Till the next time, as always, keep us in your du'as, and shukran so very much for talking to us. I particularly found the Afia Siddiqui talk that you've shared with us very, very interesting. And there are one or two things you mentioned in the interview which I was not aware of. So, shukran for bringing it to my attention. And we will continue flying that flag as high as we possibly can. Go well, keep safe. Salaam alaikum to you, Brother Inayet Wadee.
Afwan and Jazakallah to you as well, Julie. And I must say, all along, I value our friendship, being colleagues at Salam Media, and always looking up to you as well. Alhamdulillah, you've done, I know over the years, you've been doing fascinating work, Alhamdulillah, by providing inspiration, the information that you bring, and just your general mannerism as well, and your expertise on air. So all of that to be admired, and for us, it's an absolute pleasure, having colleagues like you too.
Ameen, Ameen, Thumma Ameen. Assalamu alaikum to you, Brother Inayat Wadi. It is 9:35 exactly. We're going to cross over to the United States. We are going to be talking, I'm not sure if it's the United States. I think we're crossing over to Pakistan. We're going to be talking to Dr. Fawzia Siddiqui, the sister of Dr. Afia Siddiqui, inshallah.